Welcome to this week's edition. Let me start all over. Welcome to the
Joe, why don't you say I'm Joe, I'm Chris, well, you know what I mean?
Okay, all right.
Just start, let's
Sure.
Come over a little bit more.
All right.
Yeah, that's good right there.
Hi, I'm Joe Gorman. This is Chris.
Chris Aguirre.
Let's try that again. I thought
All right.
you wanted me to introduce you too, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Joe, I'm Chris. I
Yeah.
gotta say first name.
All right. Here we go. Hi, I'm Joe,
And I'm Chris.
and we're from Hazmat IQ, and we're here to refresh you on how do you use the Hazmat IQ system to operate safely in a hazardous materials emergency.
What are you gonna need, Joe? Go.
Oh, what do we need? Before we start, grab your chart, grab your book. We're going to give you a chemical. You're going to operate. You're going to be done with this training in 5 or 6 minutes so you can go back and watch Jerry Springer. So here we go. Here's your chemical. I see this container. Chris, what's it say?
It
Sulfur
says
what?
Sulfur hexafluoride.
Sulfur hexafluoride. Wow, that's kind of hard to read. All right, here we go.
Has anybody out there ever been to a release of sulfur hexafluoride?
Not me.
The hippocampus is empty. I'm gonna need a system because you gotta be there in 5 minutes. That's what we're doing in Hazmat IQ.
So using this, just look what we got right here. What's the state of matter?
Look at the cylinder, that's a gas.
It's a gas. What's the hazard of the gas? Well, I've never been there, so I don't know. So let's use the charts to help us figure out the hazards because I've never been to sulfur hexafluoride before. Remember, this is a 4-step system that we do all 4 steps all the time. Step number 1, 20-second size up. Damn good guess. How does this thing act? What's the hazard? What's the meters? What should I wear? What is the hot zone? Step number 2, I go to the book. The damn good guess becomes fact. I do that in another 2 minutes. So when I'm done with that 4-minute process, we are ready to go to work in step 3. What does go to work mean? I know the PPE, I know the meters, I'm bringing them all, I predict which ones I'll get readings on, and I'll go to work in step 4. When I'm in step 4, I will continue to work until I find a hazard that I'm not protected in. As soon as I get a hazard I'm not protected in it, we call that a red light. And if it's a red light, the only reason we will ever run a red light is if there's a line of sight rescue. If I can see somebody and they're alive and I'm dressed in Turnac gear and SCBA, I'm going unless my fluorine paper goes from pink to yellow. So here we go on this sulfur hexafluoride. Go ahead, Chris, size it up.
All right, first I want to know if it's covalent or ionic. Well, how do you do that? In a very simple, fast way, under 10 seconds. Go to chart 2.
Yeah, much easier.
And I'm going to go, it says right at the top, it says, is the first name of your chemical listed below? So I go down just like a Rolodex to the S's. I look for the word sulfur. No, it's not there. That means that note takes me to the above the line standard operating guideline, or we'd like to say your starting operating guideline. Everything to the right of a bullet is a hazard that appears in everything that's above the line that starts with sulfur. Everything to the right of that arrowhead is an instrument that measures a hazard that can kill me or hurt me, including the entry team. Everything at the top is all 3 levels of dresses my employer gives me. Turnout, SCBA, level B for like EPA, police officers, law enforcement, MOP for military. And I should be able to do this in 10 seconds.
So let's do it in 10 seconds. Chris knows this chart like the back of his hand. You guys, if you don't know it like the back of your hand, it should take you 10 seconds to read that box. Ready? Begin. It is a gas with a 300-foot hot zone. The vapors are heavier than air. It's got an LEL, a UEL, a flash point. It polymerizes. It has an IP. It's an acid with fluorine, radioactive, toxic in parts per million, water and air reactive.
I ain't got to memorize it because I keep this on the rig.
So we want you to read it. And the last bullet says continue your size up on chart number 3. So turn to chart number 3. And this is chart 3 here. I want you to notice we're using version 16, which may be just a little bit different than what yours is, but this is the most updated chart that's available on our website. So let's continue with the size up. Sulfur. Is sulfur in this box here?
No, it's not.
So we looked over to the corrosive gas clue box for the first name for sulfur, because this is a first name corrosive gas clue. Is sulfur there?
Yes, it is.
Clue. Corrosive gas.
Point to the yes, Joe. Right there.
Which yes? That yes?
Right there. And look what it gives you. It gives you a play immediately. So I could be on my David Clark's. I could turn over. I could look at my cohorts and say red 0.
Okay, there's what it says. Red 0. The name of the game for hazmat is identifying hazards. Once you identify a hazard, you got it made. So what are the hazards of Red Zero, Chris?
They're flammable, toxic, and corrosive. Remember what Red Zero is, man. It's just like being on the scene and saying full arrest, fully involved, being in the hospital and listening over the PA, code blue. Everyone knows, or you listen to Peyton Manning say, orange Europe. Everyone knows what the play is going to be based on the guy in charge giving out a number and a color. In this case, Red Zero.
Hey, Chris, check this out. You said that it's flammable, toxic, and corrosive, but yet you've only got a couple of X's in your meter cockpit. How come?
That's
Why?
because we did the homework.
So you mean a PID doesn't work on...
No, it doesn't work.
And an FID doesn't
It does
work?
not work.
So instead of you having to look up if it works, we're giving you a quick snapshot. Remember, we always bring every meter that we have on our meter cockpit. These X's just are the ones we predict meter readings. Based on it being a Red Zero, look what it says. Turnout here in SCBA, it says only use that for line of sight rescue. You will wear level A if it's plumbing. So we will wear level A for plumbing and we'll wear level turnout gear only if it's a rescue.
Now look at the very top. At the top it says your red light is if I get 10% of the LEL or I get my F paper to turn yellow, it's a red light, I get out. The only reason I would make a line of sight rescue is if the F paper remains pink and I bust over the 10% of the LEL and I've got line of sight rescue. Now guys, you can't see where Joe's pointing to from where you're at. So I want to reiterate what Joe said a couple of minutes ago. These are the latest charts, the latest technology, the latest research. So if you want the new chart, go to our webpage and you can exchange them.
Okay, done with the size up. We predicted that it was a corrosive gas. Let's see if it actually is a corrosive gas. So we're going to go to sulfur hexafluoride in the NIOSH. We're going to check our size up and see if we need to tweak it.
Now this is step 2. I've already sized it up. You got 2 minutes, 120 seconds. You don't need any more research. Not in the emergency.
Okay, here we go.
Go to the book.
Ready?
I'm on page 289 at the bottom.
Is it a gas? We predicted gas. Chris, is it a gas?
It's a gas.
It's a gas. We got that right. We predicted the vapors were heavier than air. The molecular weight is what, Chris?
146, air weighs 29. It's going down.
Way heavier. We predicted in the size up that it was flammable. Is it flammable?
It says here non-flammable gas, the word, and then it says LEL and UEL and flashpoint, all ain't none.
Great news. That gas is not flammable. Nobody should be pissed off. This is good news for us. This is a gas that's heavier than air that's not flammable. Well, let's look for more hazard. Does it polymerize? You look up in the DOT box and it says guide 126. If it polymerized, it would end in a P. This one does not polymerize.
That doesn't mean I leave my tank gun on the rig. It just means that when I bring it in, I don't expect to get an uptick or an increase in temperature readings.
Okay, now let's see if we're PID yes or PID no.
The PID on my rig and on your rig is 10.6.
Check out this one, dude.
19.
That's the highest IP that I think's in that NIOSH pocket guide, 19.3.
So is that PID yes or PID
That's
no?
a PID hell no.
Yep.
Not even close. Well, let's see if the FID will work. Is there carbon and hydrogen in the formula?
No, there's not.
So we can't use a PID and we can't use an FID. All right, we better come up with another tool. Is it corrosive? In the size up, we predicted it was a corrosive gas based on the name sulfur. If you go to guide 126, that tells me that yes, it's a gas, but the corrosive gases are 118, 123, 124, or 125. This is not a corrosive gas. Does it have fluorine? Yes, it has 6 fluorines. So Chris, you bet your life that this is not corrosive and it's not making HF on your
skin. I'm not going to bet my life on
So
it.
how does he protect himself when the book says it's not corrosive?
I'm bringing an instrument that has no false positive. I'm bringing F paper and pH
Okay,
paper
so
in.
check the Chris. Now here you go. We're on sulfur hexafluoride. I walk in, SCBA. My meter, my pH paper turns red. The book said it's not a corrosive gas. Who wins? The book or the paper?
The paper wins.
So I don't care what the book says. If this changes in the air, this is a corrosive gas.
Don't remember, guys, you brought the meters based on the information. You could have had sulfur dioxide released. They gave you the wrong name.
Close enough. So we got to protect you even when you get the wrong name. Okay, is it radioactive? Not
No.
the 160, so it's not radioactive. Is it toxic in parts per million? You go to the IDLH and it says ND. What does that mean?
It doesn't mean not dangerous like some of you guys have told me before. It means not determined.
So what we do next is, remember, the next toxicity box when it says ND and IDLH is the exposure box. 1,000 parts per million without an SCBA is toxic to you. So, is it toxic? Yes. Is it toxic in parts per million? Yes. Is it water or air reactive? Go to the reaction box. You don't see water or air. We're ready to go to work. Chris, this is not a corrosive gas. It is a gas that's not flammable. Could I wear turnout gear?
Yes.
If I work for the EPA, could I wear level B on this gas?
Yes.
If I work for the military and had mop gear, could I wear mop gear?
Yes, you can.
Should I bring all of my meters even though I predict that they're not going to hit?
Yes.
Good. And I will continue to operate unless I hit what?
A red light.
Where do I find the red lights? Twice background for gamma. Corrosive gas increasing temperature. 10% if I'm in turnout, 1% if I'm in plastic. So there's sulfur hexafluoride. Tough name, tough chemical, gave us a couple of curveballs, but if you follow the system, you'll never get hurt.
Again, guys, version 16, you want to exchange it, go to the web page, look for the exchange program, send us your old chart, we'll send you the latest chart. But until next month,
Adios, my friends.
peace, guys. Stay safe.